everyone. Today I want to share my story on how I became a full-time photographer. I want to share how I first started and how I got to where I am now because I realized I've never actually done that properly on the channel before. Hopefully sharing this will help those of you who are trying to become full-time photographers. Maybe this can give you some inspiration or some ideas on things for you to try. I'm also going to share some insights into how you know when you're ready to go full-time, which I think can be a hard jump for a lot of us to make, to just rely on our photography for a living. Okay, so let's take it back a few years. I have been creative for as long as I can remember. I used to love drawing and painting, and one day my dad taught me how to use Photoshop and my mind was blown. I was so impressed about layer masking tools and I just became obsessed about creating artworks in Photoshop. I was using stock images I found online to create photo manipulations. I would change the colors of objects in the photo. I would change out the sky or add textures. It was so much fun. Eventually, I wanted to take more control over these digital creations, so I decided to try taking my own photos, and this was when I was around 15 years old. The only camera I had access to was my family's camera, which we used to take photos of on vacations and people's birthdays and things like that. It was just a super simple point-and-shoot camera, and I can't even remember what brand it was, but I used it to take photos of everything. Because I was having such a good time with that, I decided to take the photography course available at my high school, and there I learned how to do film photography. So I learned how to use an SLR and how to manually develop film and print my own photos in the darkroom. Because I was creating so many photos, I also started a blog, which is still online today, and I had an account on Flickr, I still have that, and Deviantart, and I tried to upload there as much as I could. Eventually, a point-and-shoot camera was just not cutting it for me anymore. My dad was teaching me all about shutter speed and aperture, and I realized I couldn't do any of that with the gear I had. So I decided to get my very first DSLR, and I went with this Pentax K100D and kit lens. This is not the kit lens. And I still have this camera with me today. I have so many memories with this camera. I actually used this a couple of years ago because I thought it would be interesting to do a portrait photo shoot with a now 18 or so year old digital camera. And I have that video uploaded on my channel, so I'll leave a link down below if you want to watch it. I experimented a lot with this Pentax camera and I did so many genres of photography. I tried street photography, landscapes, woodland photography, seascapes, cityscapes, portraits, band portraits. I photographed live music shows. I did headshots, still life, macro cars, you name it. Any photography genre you can think of right now, I tried it out at some point or another. And I didn't realize it at the time, but this was part of the process of figuring out my style and what my niche was in photography. The only way you're going to find out what you're good at and, what you click with is if you try it out. For me, portraits, surprise, surprise, was what excited me the most. I think what I loved back then, and honestly what I still love so much about portraits now, is that there's this never-ending mixture of elements that have to come together to create a portrait. You have a subject which you need to pose, give directions to, choose what facial expressions to have. Then you have other things like outfits and makeup and accessories that totally change what a photo looks like. On top of that, you have the location to work with, focal lengths, lighting, and compositions. All of that really excites my creativity. I love having all these elements to work with and pick and choose from to create a portrait. As I started realizing that taking photos of people is what I enjoy doing the most, I tried to do as much of that as possible. For me, fashion photography is what I was really aiming for. I absolutely love the work of Tim Walker, and he was a huge inspiration for me throughout my photography journey. But before I could shoot for magazines, I needed to actually practice taking photos of people and building a portfolio. Since I was really young, I would have been like 16 at this point, I didn't have a lot of access to people and models or experience for that matter. In order to improve my skills, I ended up taking a lot of self-portraits, portraits of my sister, and I also asked my school friends if they could model for me too. This was a really good way to build up confidence as there's not really any pressure when it comes to directing and posing your subjects, since you're doing it with people you're comfortable with and you know well. So if you're in the same situation as I was when you want to do portrait photography but you have no one to take photos of, this is one way you can get started. Because I was posting my work online, I had a couple of really cool odd jobs pop up here and there. One of the main ones was getting my photos licensed for album and book covers. So here's one of them that I have right here. It's like a whole series. Yeah, this was a really cool experience. So as I got a bit older and had more experience, I started working with models. There was a website called Model Mayhem where you could connect with other freelancers and you could find photographers, models, makeup artists, and wardrobe stylists to work with. There are more websites like that available now, and we also have social media to work with, which is so helpful. So I did a lot of test shoots with other people who wanted to get together and be creative, and also did test shoots for modeling agencies and some paid work for them too, where I would take portraits of their models to add to their book and website. At first, I did a lot of work for free. I really just wanted to improve my skills and create photos for my portfolio, but eventually I had clients that would find me through Flickr or my blog and book me in for photo shoots. Nowadays, you can replace blog with Instagram or social media in general. But yeah, I started booking more paid work. I was doing a lot of fashion e-commerce, fashion campaigns, model portfolio shoots, and also some magazine editorials as well. Actually, we're going to just do show and tell, but I've got a couple of them here. Like these 2 covers that I shot were so cool. And then I have this little editorial that I shot. So around that time, I decided to apply for jobs at photography studios and managed to get a job as an in-house retoucher at a headshot studio. I realized as I was booking in my own clients, and you have to remember, I was like 18 years old at this point, I had no idea what I was doing. This whole YouTube thing that we're watching right now didn't exist, and I had no one telling me what I should be doing or how I should be doing it. So I wanted to get a job with a professional photographer to learn as much as I could about running a business. I did that for a couple of years, but eventually I didn't want to be behind a computer retouching so much anymore compared to actually being out in the field shooting. So I switched jobs and I started second shooting for a very talented wedding photographer in my area. And again, that was a really great learning experience, just like my retouching job. I can't stress enough what a privilege it is to work for a successful photographer who is also very open and generous with their knowledge. If you can find someone like that to work with or for, it's one of the best things you can do for your career. Trust me, even if they don't decide to exclusively teach you things about the job, it's even helpful just working for a full-time photographer to shadow them and observe and learn from what they do. Throughout this wedding job, I realized that I really love shooting weddings. It was a mixture of portraits and also so many other genres of photography put together. During a wedding, you have to do documentary or shoot in a photojournalistic way, capturing candid moments of people and the day as things happen. You're doing detail shots, which are close-ups of important details like rings, flowers, decorations. But then you're also doing landscape or architecture photography, capturing the venue the couple are getting married in. There's lifestyle photography. You need to be able to shoot indoors and outdoors and know how to work with lighting and flashes. So it is a very exciting style of photography that keeps you on your toes. It is a lot of hard work, but so rewarding. And unlike fashion clients on the down low who just want their photos yesterday, wedding clients actually appreciate their photos so much, so it was very fulfilling. I started lessening the amount of fashion clients and I focused more on weddings. And that's where Dan and I started a business together offering photo and video. Should I say, I didn't even say like, this is Dan, by the way.
I'm pretty sure I could just do it.
Yeah, there. This is Dan, by the way. We ran that channel together. You would have seen him popping up in some of my videos.
From autofocus. Wait.
Yeah, that's how you usually see him. Also running towards and away from the camera. Anyway, go away. Anyway, what we did is we had a product that not many other businesses were offering at the time. So Dan's style of video matched my natural photo style, and we were offering joint photo and video packages for clients, which really grew in popularity. So that kept us busy, and by that point, I stopped working for anyone else, and our wedding business was our full-time job. So photography becoming full-time was something that happened quite gradually for me, and speaking to other photographers I know who also do this full-time, it seems to be the way a lot of people get there as well. So I want to share with you a few ways I knew I could take that jump to solely relying on my photography as my full-time job to hopefully help you out if you're at that point in your career or when you eventually get there. One of the things that became obvious to me quite quickly is time. The more clients I took on, the less time I had to shoot for someone else, as my own clients kept me busy with emails, meetings, shooting, and editing. If I were to add in shooting for another photographer to the mix, it would have been way too much work to keep up with, and less time being able to focus on growing my own business. I also had a strong portfolio, which is important to have to be able to advertise your work and continuously be able to book in more clients. Even though you might have bookings now, working for yourself means you need to always be booking in more jobs. So you want to make sure your portfolio is able to attract new customers and convert them into clients. Next is probably the most important one, and that is making sure you have a reliable income. If you're super busy with work, but your source of income isn't enough to sustain you, you should think about increasing your prices to be able to support yourself. When you find the right balance of consistent work and enough of an income to cover your expenses and have savings, you are probably ready to go full-time with your photography. And this income goes hand in hand with my last point of having a good portfolio to attract clients. As to have a steady stream of income, you're going to need a steady stream of clients. Speaking of, having your name established in the industry is another good indicator. If you've built good relationships with other photographers in your area, when they are booked out for an inquiry, they can recommend you to their clients. You might also notice that word of mouth is starting to work, where your happy clients are recommending you to their friends and family. The last sign that you might be ready to make the leap into making this your full-time job is you've established your business skills, because as we all know, unfortunately, photography isn't just about taking pictures. You also have to know how to manage finances, how to successfully market your business, and know how to handle clients. Making sure you are experienced and confident in these skills is key to running a successful business. Even when you have all the right elements going your way, it can still feel quite daunting at first to be only relying on your photography for your livelihood. Eventually, this feeling becomes more normal the longer you do it, which is great. It's like you become a well-oiled machine over time, and all these things like marketing and managing clients become more and more natural. We also have to talk about how I got to here and what we're doing here on YouTube as well, but I feel like that's a whole separate video because this video is already going to be way too long. So I really hope you enjoyed hearing about my story. Let me know about your own journey in the comments, or what you found the most interesting about mine, as I really love hearing from you. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I make new videos every single week, so I'll see you all next time. Bye. Pop in and say bye. Bye. Bye.